I was actually just thinking about this. It was this book that they read to us when I was in like grade school. Like I'm talking like kindergarten, first grade school. And yeah, I mean it was weird. It just popped into my head randomly, and kind of the relevance of those stories. Like like this one in particular was it was called Tops and Bottoms. And put your red hats away. It's not some like gay children's propaganda, so just fucking cool it. No, this story was it was about a rabbit and a bear. And the rabbit had like a little farm, right? And the bear comes by. He's a big bully, and he tells the rabbit, you gotta give me your crops. And the rabbit says, well, I'm not gonna grow anything if I have to give you all of it. So the bear tells him, well, then you have to give me half of it. The rabbit says, well, I'm doing all the work, so I should get to decide what parts of the crop I get, since you get half of it. The bear said, no, I get to decide. So the rabbit says, well, okay, which part do you want? The rabbit, he's pretty smart. The bear tells him he wants the top. So what does the rabbit do? He gets to growing in the garden, and he grows carrots. So the bear obviously, gets the greens. He's pissed. He wants the. So the next time, I want the bottoms. So then the next time when he grows something, I can't even remember what it was. He grew like lettuce or whatever. So the bear got like the weird nub. And yeah, and then that's pretty much the story doesn't really matter. What I'm actually talking about is the fact that this is actually what happens in businesses now. If you think about it, they make a job salary, but it's a job that never has an end. They say, oh yeah, well you're a salary employee now, so as soon as you're done, you go home, but your job is to manage everyone. So your job's never really done as long as somebody's in the building. So you never go home. You're salaried. You're working a bunch of free overtime. Alternatively, you're an hourly employee. They constantly tell you to hurry up. They want you to finish the job fast. They don't want to have to compensate you for what you're really worth. They're only giving you a portion of what you're actually producing when you're hourly. That's how business works. They determine your value, and then they determine what they're going to pay you, and that difference of what you're actually worth versus what they pay you is it's called profit, and that's how business works. So I was just thinking like how interesting that story is. It just popped into my head, and it actually seems pretty relevant still today. I think maybe probably more teachers should be reading that story to their kids. Another one that's important today, when you think about stuff like automation, is O. Henry. You guys remember the story of O. Henry? He's big, he's strong. He can swing an axe and a hammer, and then he goes to work on the railroad. I remember that one. I hardly remember the gist of the story. I just remember all of the animations were like watercolor. Really, really well done too. But yeah, he goes to work on the railroad. This one black guy, a bunch of Chinese dudes. Obviously, as a child, I didn't really catch all this from the animation, the relevance of it. And this is right after. This story is about the Industrial Revolution, people being afraid of machines and machines taking their jobs. And O. Henry shows up and he says, I'm gonna help dig this tunnel through the mountain for the railroad. But the foreman shows up. He's got this automatic tunneler. It's like a giant drill, right? Henry says he can work faster than that with the old school way, which, if you don't know, is just dynamite, hammers, and pickaxes. So he's got a hammer in one hand and a pickaxe in the other, and he's trying to tunnel through faster. He makes a bet with the machine he tells the foreman he's going to dig through this mountain faster, and he does. The whole story is just him. He's got an iron will and a determination to save all their jobs by proving he can work faster than the machine. And then he powers through the mountain. I think in the story he actually does beat the machine, but I do remember being in the first grade in what was that, Miss Giles' class, and yeah, O. Henry's heart explodes at the end of the story. He dies. His heart exploded. He drops dead. What an interesting way to introduce a 6-year-old to the concept of mortality. Uh, and yeah, so he dies. And so even though he's better than the machine in this story, he literally works himself to death. And it takes the form in less than a week to find someone to replace him. And, and that's how the story ends. But that's another one that's pretty relevant today, if you think about it. You know, in the context of automation and people's jobs being replaced and people being afraid of that. Oh, we got to work harder. We have to work hard to stay profitable, or else they're going to let machines do the job, or they're going to send the job to China. You know, we have to be willing to work hard. That's all fake. They don't care about us. It doesn't matter how hard we work. None of that matters at all. It just matters if the guy calling the shots is a decent person. There's no level of hard work that you're going to do that's going to outpace innovation. That's not going to change. There's no level of hard work that you're willing to do for $35 an hour that someone overseas is willing to do for $3. They'll just have 10 of them do it. You can't work harder than 10 people. It's impossible. Well, I mean, I don't ask Grant Cardone, the 10 times rule, maybe. But yeah, I mean, the truth is, it's just a matter of if that guy at the top is decent and actually willing to work and look out for the people who work for him. And, yeah, I mean, that's something we forget a lot. So, anyway, it was just on my mind. I thought I'd share it with you guys.